Hi everyone, welcome back. Remember, this is part 2 of a 2-part series going over the new PPP Round 2 application, the Form 2483, which was just released. All right, in this video, I'm going to go over the just released 2483 and cover specifically how to calculate average monthly payroll, as well as how to calculate number of employees, and more specifics on the form itself. So if you don't have the form pulled up in front of you, I definitely recommend for you to pull up the form, pause this video, go to the SBA website. I have a link in the information section below of this video to click on and to be able to view the form together. So let's get right into it. How to calculate the average monthly payroll for businesses, self-employed, and partnerships. Okay. So remember, when calculating average monthly payroll, remember you can utilize either 2019 or 2020 payroll information. I assume for most businesses, you're going to be using 2019 payroll information just because typically for most businesses, 2019, your payroll costs were higher than 2020. Remember, in terms of payroll costs, this is very important. You can only include payroll costs for employees or yourself if the principal place of residence is the United States of those people, right? Of those persons working for your organization or your business. You can only include the payroll costs of those that claim the United States as their principal place of residence, okay? And as a refresher, what does payroll costs include? Okay, there's a long list, so this is what is included. Salary, wages, commissions, cash tips, vacation pay, parental, medical, family, or sick leave that was paid to your employees, except paid leave for which the FFCRA credit was used for, okay? Also, payroll costs include employee benefits like group, health, life, disability, vision, dental, okay? That's also included in payroll costs, as well as retirement benefits for your employees. And remember also, you can include in payroll costs payments of state and local taxes assessed on the compensation to employees, okay? So typically this is unemployment insurance. If your state requires that for payroll or for your employee as an employer, you're gonna include that under payroll cost, okay? This doesn't include, you do not include, FICA taxes, right? Social Security or Medicare. You only include state and local taxes paid. So typically, once again, unemployment insurance to your state. Remember, if this is the kind of content that you're looking for, don't forget to hit subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications because there's tons of updates coming over the next few weeks. All right, for independent contractors and sole proprietors, your average payroll will include wages, commission income, or net earnings from self-employment. Okay, so that net earnings of self-employment, how do you calculate that? So for those of you who file your self-employment or independent contractor business using the Schedule C on the Form 1040, you're going to look to line 31, okay? That's the net profit amount, and you're limited to $100,000 here, right? Plus any eligible payroll costs for employees, okay? So once again, if you are an independent contractor or sole proprietor using the Schedule C on the Form 1040, and this probably also includes single member LLCs as well, then you're gonna use line 31, the net profit amount of your previously filed tax return, limited to $100,000 for yourself, plus any eligible payroll costs for employees, okay, to calculate the average monthly payroll, okay? So if once again, your net profit amount is greater than $100,000, remember, you're going to divide that by 12, right? You're capped at $100,000. Divide that by 12. That's going to come out to $20,833, and then you're going to add back any eligible payroll costs for other employees, not just yourself. Okay. So remember, when it comes to qualified payroll costs, you are limited to $100,000 annualized for any employee or even yourself as the owner of the business in calculating your average monthly payroll. So it's $100,000 divided by 12. Once again, that $100,000 is the cap for any single employee divided by 12. The most you can apply for a PPP loan for that one employee or yourself, if your average salary or if your annual salary is over $100,000, is going to be $20,833. Okay. It also states here in the application instructions that if you are a new business, your average monthly payroll may be calculated using the time period from January 1st, 2020 to February 29th, 2020. Okay, so this is for a new business. They didn't really go into specifics on the new business, but continue to check my next couple videos because more guidance will be provided, right, in terms of this definition. All right, for applicants that are a partnership, okay, so if you're in a partnership, you're a partner of a partnership, that's if you file the Form 1065 as your tax return, your payroll costs are computed using net earnings from self-employment, okay? Net earnings from self-employment of individual general partners as reported on your Form 1065 K1. Okay. That amount is then reduced by Section 179 expense deductions claimed, unreimbursed partnership expenses claimed, and depletion claimed on oil and gas properties. Okay, and then you're going to multiply that amount by 0.235, and then you're capped once again at $100,000, and then you add back any eligible payroll costs for your employees. Okay, so this is, that first part of the calculation is for the general partners, the partners of the partnership, and then you're capped, they are capped at $100,000 once again, and then you add back eligible payroll costs for employees. Okay, the next part of the form talks about the number of employees, okay, the number of employees. So once you've calculated your average monthly payroll, so that total payroll divided by 12 equals your average monthly payroll. Then you multiply either by 2.5 or 3.5. Remember in video number 1, part 1 of this series, if your NAICS code starts with the number 72, and that's typically hospitality or restaurants, then your multiplier is 3.5. Okay, but for most other organizations and businesses, your multiplier is going to be 2.5. Okay, and this is, so that's going to be the multiplier, 2.5 or 3.5. Okay, then once you multiply your average monthly payroll by that 2.5 and 3.5, then that equals basically the loan request amount. Okay, that's going to equal the loan request amount. Okay, the next box on the Form 2483 is the number of employees, okay, including affiliates if applicant may not exceed 300, okay? So the number of employees, I get this question a lot. So if you're a sole proprietor or self-employed or an independent contractor, you should include yourself, okay? Because the minimum number in box for number of employees has to be 1, okay? So once again, if you are a sole proprietor, self-employed individual or independent contractor, you need to include yourself in this box here, right? In the box asking for a number of employees, okay? So minimum in that box, you need 1, okay, at a minimum. Okay, the next part of the form as you scroll through this form is the purpose of the loan. Select all that apply. You know, you definitely have to cross check payroll costs because remember, in order to have your loan forgiven, a minimum of 60% of your PPP loan needs to be spent on payroll cost. Okay, a minimum of 60%. So that's going to be checked. And then check any other boxes in which you plan to use these PPP funds, right? Eligible PPP funds. Remember, eligible PPP funds was also expanded with this new guidance to cover things like covered operation expenditures, covered property damage, right, from rioting or disturbances, covered supplier cost, covered worker protection expenditures, so PPE, personal protective equipment that you purchase for your employees, that's also covered, and then other as well. Okay, the next part is PPP first draw SBA loan number, right? So if you are a second time applicant, not a first draw applicant, but a second time, if you're requesting PPP funds for a second round, then you have to list here the SBA loan number for your first PPP round number 1. Okay, so you list that there. And then the next part of the form, they talk about reduction in gross receipts of at least 25%, right? Remember, this is for applicants of loans of $150,000 or less. You can leave it blank here, okay? Okay, but you know, this is where they're going to be asking for how you have to prove if you're a second time applicant for PPP funds, you have to prove a 25% reduction of gross revenue. Okay, so what they're going to ask you to list here is which, you're going to ask, the first part is 2020, which quarter, okay, in 2020, whether it's Q2, Q3, Q1, or Q4, versus the same reference quarter in 2019. So it might be Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4. So you have to use the same quarter. And once again, when we talk about quarters, you cannot mix and match or overlap quarter to quarter. You have to use the standard 3-month quarter sequentially, right? So it's January, February, March, Q1, April, May, June, Q2, July, August, September is Q3, and then October, November, December is Q4. So you have to use them in those sequences. I get that question a lot. Can I overlap quarters, right? Can I use maybe February, March, April? Or maybe like April, May, June, right? Or, just, you can't do that. You have to use the standardized quarters, right? In 3-month increments. Or once again, if you remember in video number 1, if your business or your organization was operating for all 4 quarters of 2019, then actually you can use the annual gross receipts test for 2019 versus 2020 tax return, right? You can use your tax return from 2019 versus a tax return in 2020 to show that 25% reduction in gross revenue, okay, gross receipts, okay? And then the next part of the form, so you're going to put that in there, right? So you're going to put in which quarter you're comparing or which year you're comparing, and then you're going to put in those gross receipts. You're going to add up all your gross receipts for those quarters year over year to show that comparison. The next part of the form is the applicant ownership. This is where you just list out all owners of 20% or more equity of the business or the organization, okay? So if you are an owner with 20% or more equity of your business or organization, then your name should be listed here. And if there's more than 2, right, they only leave 2 spots here. If there's more than 2, they say to attach a separate sheet if necessary, okay? So if you have more than 2 owners who own greater than 20% or more, then you need to supplement your application with an additional sheet to show the extra ownership. All right, a few very important things to be aware of. The last half of the form or the application is all these certifications, right, where you're going to have to initial and then you're going to have to sign. Okay, you're going to have to answer a few yes and no questions. And there's some yes and no questions here where if you answer yes, your loan will automatically not be approved. Okay, so a few certifications, I'm not going to cover all of them, just a few really important ones that you have to be aware of here. Remember, once again, the business has to have been in operation, or your organization has to have been in operation on February 15th, 2020 to qualify to apply. Okay, so if your business started, let's say, or your organization started February 16th, unfortunately, you do not qualify, right? Or March 15th, you had to have been in operation since February 15th, 2020. Remember, another certification is that the current economic uncertainty makes the PPP loan request necessary to support the ongoing operations of your organization. Okay, you have to certify this. Remember, the funds will have to also be used properly, right? You're certifying that you're going to be taking this PPP funds and using it correctly as guided. Remember, payroll cost, minimum of 60% has to be used for payroll for this loan to be forgiven. Mortgage, rent, utilities, covered operational expenditures, covered property damage costs, and the worker PPE, right? So those are the eligible costs, payroll and other eligible costs. And then the last part is, the last one I want to really mention is, if you are a recipient of the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant, right? Once again, the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant, then you do not qualify to apply for PPP Round 2, because if you receive the grant under that SBA program, then you do not qualify to receive Round 2 funds. Okay, so once again, if you fall under the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant recipient, then you do not qualify to apply for Round 2 for PPP funds. Okay, I do have a video in regards to Shuttered Venue Operator Grants, and these are usually for live venue operators, right, or museums, or auditoriums, movie theaters, places like that, right, that have a live venue and that rely on ticket sales for their revenue, that you should apply under the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant, because the loan amounts are actually larger, and there's a specific amount of funds that the government set aside for your type of organization. So you definitely want to check out that video and then apply. as well. All right, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much. Please leave your questions and comments in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications, because there's going to be a ton of updates going forward, not only on PPP round number 2, the application process, but also on PPP round number 1 forgiveness process, right? For many business owners, that process will also begin shortly. The SBA has not said when it's going to open up, but it's going to be pretty soon. So until next time, I wish you a safe and wonderful day. Bye.